A year and a half ago, Kobayashi launched the Tianyun switch. This switch is quite well known, right? Friends who buy many switches should remember this one. At that time, a year and a half apart, Yunshu VR has made its debut. In this video, I'll share this with you. The VR version and some differences compared to V. The color schemes of both switches remain largely unchanged. All are cool white with blue shaft and bottom cover on the lid. What about the difference between blue skies and white shadows? The main reason is that the VR version comes with a built-in light guide pillar. In terms of parameters, both are PA2's upper rods, and PA2's relatively Li shaft is the center. However, the contact formed shortened the marked part of V1. The process is 4.0, but it should actually be around 3.8. The V2 is set around 3.5, which better meets the general public's needs. Besides differences in material and appearance, the main factor is mold changes. The difference in tactile feel brought by the result. The tight feel of the well-known veteran red stars in the middle. Both the startup and the shape convey a sense of enveloping pressure. The changes in the pressure curve are also somewhat uncomfortable. This is what people commonly refer to as the syringe feeling. The mold for the V2 version cover is the mold of the Guemu Xion silent shaft lid. It's the Jingsha shaft mentioned in the previous video. The feature of this cover is that the gap is relatively enlarged. The rebound installation part has a mesh structure. The design is similar to the new cover of the construction planning department. On Tianransu VR, the startup feel is incredibly smooth. Without the tactile feel and noise of oil separation, the overall pressure in the pressing shape. The curve changes have become relatively smooth. What is called true empathy, almost insensible. Is this still Homuxin? The feel of this switch is basically completely different from this look. The characteristics of the dim star switch already feel a bit like a hand. It feels like the switches are coming together. Notice one thing. Not entirely, of course, the shaft stability is still quite good. Although it's a bit loose, overall it's still quite stable. Overall, the pressing feel is on the dry side, but the smoothness are excellent. No extra spring noise. When you touch the ear, you might hear a slight shaft friction sound. After getting on the plane, there is no such thing. Moving on to sound. In fact, both V1 and V2 are very crisp, compared to the sound of transparent switches. The V1 version handles it even more sharply. The gray bullet will also be a bit louder. The V2 version has a flatter bottom, while the V1 has a taper feel. The V2 feels a bit more radiant. The rebound sound will be a bit quieter, because of the contact point on the lid. However, compared to Jianjike's version, it is a bit louder. Overall, it doesn't lose the feeling of the Tsueyang shaft, nor will there be any beginner or their listening experience. So, is this natural weak VR sound still quite interesting? Humingsing has always been a strong point in switches manufactured by Humingsing, especially in the aspect of actuation. I never imitate them, never surpassed. So what happens after this change? Still, this switch is still Huijuxing. Conceptually, the crisp switch hasn't changed. Very noisy, like firecrackers. Both cotton-free and pure cotton perform very well. No doubt about it. The improvement in tactile feel by changing the mold is also very significant. After this change, Huijuxing switches can also feel good and responsive. These two are connected. That's what they said. This is a path I never imagined. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video.